Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm going to be interviewing Karin Davidson today. Whoever doesn't know her, Karin Davidson has been healing people, families, homes, lives, relationship, and all sort of lost souls for over 35 years. She uses divine insight to get to the core block when others haven't been able to. Through divine light healing, Karin can rectify, clear, transform those blocks into positive energy in minutes. I want to say in seconds, but I'll just keep it real and say in minutes, and we'll talk about that later. Karen wrote the course book for EFT tapping certification, presented all over the world, international trainer for various modalities. Her humor, wicked talent, love, and dedication not only instantly wash over you, they instill a sense of trust and hope that she can and freaking will help you. With over 7,000 sessions to prove it and over 200 energy psychology DVDs. So basically, she's pretty much a Netflix of her own and lots of goodies over her website and YouTube channel. You can find out more and get a bunch of generous bonuses at karendavidson.net. And I'm one of the lucky people that had a session or had sessions with Karen. And I'm telling you, holy belief, you guys, you're in for a wild ride with this one. So, Karen, how does it feel to be on the other side of the table, or I get to ask all the awkward questions?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go. What do you want to, so now I get to say, rather than you say, here's my problems, Karin, and I say, well, let's find out. And you're going like, but don't tell me, yes, tell me, don't tell me, yes, tell me. You get to ask me whatever you want.
Oh my God, I was so freaking stubborn. God bless your heart. I don't know how you dealt with me. I swear to God. But yes, madam, you really freaking fixed me. You know what's so cool? It's just like, I mean, every single time I have a session with you, I mean, the blocks and everything that I go through. I mean, you know me with all the gunk and the freaking voices and then the darkness. I don't know what to even call it. When I'm with you in a session, I mean, go over it. I mean, you took me on islands, I went on train rides. I mean, I don't know where else I've been with you. But seriously, like every single time, it's instantaneous. And I mean, honestly, there's a whole bunch of testimonial YouTube videos. And I really thought I was like the lucky or special one, but I mean, you do this with everybody. So I never actually get to ask you, how on earth do you do this? On earth do you just hone into people's blocks and just like they disappear forever and it lasts for so long? Please tell me.
All right. Oh, Lordy. Um, well, I have to say something first, Shamey, is that, you were ready. You were ready to like get over your bad self, and
I
when
was
people are
dead.
ready to deal with themselves, it's much easier because sometimes, my thing that I say is if you knew what was stopping you, you'd have fixed it by now. And because people spend so much time over and over again trying to find what's wrong, you know and what they can do is they have a set, this must be it. And
Mhm.
so what I do is that, and you're wrong, everybody is special, because and I say that because I really have to believe that. I mean, that's how I do it. And luckily I have that God gave me that heart to be able to care about whoever I'm dealing with. And sometimes it's hard because I care about everybody and don't watch TV, because of it. But so you have to really care for the person, because the first thing you do is you got to listen to them, because they have spent a lot of time really trying to find out why they can't this, or why they don't this, or what's wrong with that, or why am I this. And since you have to respect that they've gone into themselves and really tried to find out what's stopping them. Now, having said that, now with you I always can use humor, so a lot of people I can't, but with you it's like, yeah, how'd that work for you?
I mean,
Because
yeah, put me in my place so many times.
it's like, I have something to tell you that you're not going to like, maybe. Let me find a different way to say it. And the reason I do that is because I do have this, people call it, divine access. And it's always so much funny for me to hear that kind of stuff, because I'm just being me. But I am given the ability to, find it. And so, but I listen to each and every person, and I also, and like, where are they coming from? And then I use the access to them, and to through God or the divine or all that is, or whatever you want to call it, to kind of pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and this is really important, is that everybody knows what they don't want, right? They can
Sure.
list on all their fingers and toes what they don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want this, don't want this, don't want this, don't want this, don't want this. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? Well, I want the opposite of all those.
Yeah. I don't
Right.
know.
And that's where
Yeah.
you come. That's where you come to. It's like, I can't, I don't, I want to not do that. I want to be able to not do. And it's like, okay, let's find out first of all what you do want. That is not like, all right, so if the opposite is I want, I don't want to keep attracting the right kind of guy. I mean, the wrong kind of guy. I keep attracting the wrong kind of guy. How do I attract or woman? How do I, I want to not do that. I'm like, well, what do you want? Well, I want not that.
Yeah.
And you have to go, all right, well, make a list of what you want. Anything that's not that. And so if you get somebody to start thinking about what they do want and how they feel, we get into, the law of attraction and stuff like that, and, being shifted in that stuff. But see, that helps me tune into what's blocking you from what you want. And, a lot of people don't even know what they want.
I mean,
And
my
that's,
son was like that. Yeah.
it's crazy. You like, all you do is concentrate on what you don't want. And
True.
just by concentrating on what you don't want, we all know that you attract what you don't want.
Well, I thought like, trying to concentrate on what I don't want, on like trying to see all the bad in me or all the bad incident. I mean, honestly, I thought I was like, all right, this is what I need to focus on to fix it. Like, how else would I fix it? And I was so stubborn. I really like, I mean, yeah, needless to say, I was a tad bit stubborn. Like I didn't know. I mean, you hear all the things about law of attraction, right? It's everywhere for a very long time. There's a bunch of people that talks about it. I believed in it at one stage when it was trending, and then I was like, all right, it just like it's in my brain. It's a broken record. I started disbelieving. I did not know how to put it in action. And then, oh my God, with you, there's a sense of comprehension that was instilled in me. Like I don't know how did you manage to do that? Like it's like I'm asking you, how did you manage to help me believe or convince me?
So once I listen to you for a little while, then it becomes, I deal with you in people in two ways. Once I deal with there's a mind, body, spirit, energy system. And so spirit's usually always on board. It's like, please God, let her wake up, and know this, because she's been trying so hard. So your spirit's like, please. So spirit's usually on board with whatever it is, right? But the mind, body, and energy system, sometimes not so much. And because the energy system holds the blocks, and the mind is like ning, ning, and ning, and ning, ning, and ning, ning. And so I have to use both my energy work, or whatever energy work you want to do. I have my own tools and things like that, and that work really well for me with others. But since I know, like, I don't know, 36 methods or something, I'll pick the one that's right for the person. But there's also the cognitive piece. And so the cognitive piece is talking to you about where you are.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take too long unless you're shamey.
Well, I had to be I was such a freaking skeptic, Karen.
Yes.
Like I
So,
really,
so what I did is I had to, your sessions are not much healing because you're on board. You're great. You're like, fix me. Right. Yeah. But telling your mind that it's like 3/4 the time I'm like talking to you about this, and I heal a little bit, and then we go back, and then it's like, and I'm convinced, because you're like, no, and you're like, but, and I call it a frog. It's called the frog. Yebbit, 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 yebbit. It's a little frog that's jumping around, and yebbit, yebbit, and you are like Miss Yebbit.
Yes, I am.
But it's okay, because you're so thorough. I mean, you're so thorough and wanting to make sure that whatever's blocking you, it doesn't block you anymore. It's like the time with that you spend with me is precious to you, and I respect that.
Oh God, I worship the time together. Honest to God, this, I mean, are you kidding me? Like I literally count on the days. And the thing is, Karen, like I've been through freaking countless numbers of modalities that, yeah, granted, great, worked for so many people, but I swear to God, none of them actually worked or half-assedly worked or worked great during the session. But then whenever I'm off, it kind of wears off a day or two, even though I do my work and I am desperate and I am really, really, really want to get this over with.
Well, yeah,
And
that's a good example, Shamey, is that, usually when people come to me, or, people that I do what I do, is they're pretty much done with, they're like desperate. They're like, we're the last case scenario. And,
yeah,
and so, but the good part of it is everybody, that comes to me is like, okay, well, most everybody, I really want to change. I really want to fix this. I really want to do something different. And, the good news is the methods that I use are proven. And so whether they're, EFT tapping or matrix reimprinting or, divine light healing or, access consciousness or body code or, whatever it is that I do, it's particular to that person. So it's all about listening and their, ability to want to move forward. Because if they, and everybody has resistance because there's all kinds of reasons why, you've believed
yeah,
what you've believed. And that's the reason. The cognitive resistance is fine. And that's why the humor, and why it's easy with you, because I can just joke my way out of it. And, I can just kid around about how's that working for you, and so I can do that with you. And what that does is it eases the tension, therefore lessens the resistance. And then I can get to work. And most people, like when I first started doing this a bazillion years ago, I'm like, stop talking so that we can just do the healing part, for goodness sakes. I just wanted to start using the method. And the
yeah,
thing is what I've realized is that, sure, I can overcome people's resistance and overcome their limiting beliefs and work to help them. But healers could do that. But why, if you are on board, it's so much easier than the effort that we make in the half hour, or sometimes 5 minutes when I'm working. It just that we can spend the 5 minutes doing this. And
yeah,
so if I don't blame you for resisting, and everybody's going to resist because they have a bunch of reasons, even if they don't want to. So I use the cognitive piece to get to the point where you get it, that it's possible. And then it gets easy for me because I can just work. I can just do my thing. And the thing that I'm doing now mostly is divine light healing.
yeah.
And that's putting together all kinds of stuff that I've known, but it doesn't really matter what it is that you use to help yourself. I was interviewing Amanda Hopkins earlier today on Living Energy Seekers, and she said it's like, method of choice kind of thing. And it doesn't, whatever you choose, whether it's hypnotherapy to like, yoga, I don't care. As long as you can get rid of, once you find it, you can get rid of it. So half of my battle is helping you realize what the bad thing is, that's blocking you. And then the other half is the divine light healing or EFT or whatever it is that you need.
I mean, but
And
the thing is, like, we know our situation. Like with my situation, you said that, humor, with me, kind of, you need to use humor, but you had some really, really, really interesting cases. Like once I got to know more of your community, and then, from this testimonial, the guy that couldn't even leave his house for how many years? He was in
yeah,
complete
there
shock.
are two things. There was a woman who was, she couldn't leave her house for, she hadn't left her house in 15 years.
I've
And
heard.
that's a good example, because I never forced her to leave her house. I
Yeah.
said, but I did after I knew it was all better. We worked together, and I said, I need you to like step outside your door. And she said, I can't. She said, I'm
Yeah.
waiting to feel better. And I said, just like, I just want you don't have to step out your door. Just put your toes over top of the little metal thing in your door, and you don't have to step out the door. She says, but why, if I'm afraid? And I'm like, because until you actually put it into action, you're not going to understand your body is not able, because it's been a habit for 15 years. You're not going
Yeah.
to be able to do it. And I
Yeah.
said, you're ready. I can feel that you're ready, because I feel energy and see energy. And I knew she could do this. I said, I'm not telling you to walk outside your door. I'm not even telling you to, I'd be happy if you walk around your house. I'd be thrilled. I'm not telling you to do any of that. I'm just telling you to put your toes all over top with the door open, and so that they're touching the outside.
Yeah.
And this is 15 years. And about 2 hours later, I got a Google map. And what she had done is she's taken a Google map of her house, and she'd taken these like red lines that she put around. She not only walked outside of her house, but she walked around the block. Now her thing was running into people, like having to talk to people, having to speak to people, looking terrible, like, so it's running into people, have to conversations, seeing cars, a
Yeah.
dog. I mean, there's like 400 things. And
Oh,
so she is not, the back of her is like on a highway. And she had to cross all kinds of driveways and people to get to the highway with the cars, and she walked around, and I just cried. I was just like, I looked at this map.
15 freaking years, then she saw the light. Oh my God,
Well, she had
honestly.
to do it first. And that's why I also say to people, yeah, you don't wait till you feel better. Wait till it's possible. Give it a try, because these negative habits that you have, and these negative things that you believe, you're going to believe until you just try it differently, after you do the healing, right? After we work on it. So like with you, Shamie, I had to pull you through the cognitive part, that it was just possible. And then I made you do stuff, right? So, the good news is, with some, like your big story is that, you couldn't write,
Good
you,
job.
you couldn't get a job, right?
Oh my God. I mean, you're talking about this lady fear that kept her in the house for 15 years. I mean, my fear is so much sillier compared to her. I was petrified of sending my freaking resume and then wasted 4 goddamn years of my life not doing a simple act, because just like that lady, I'm having all these thoughts, all these like fears, all this like trauma. And then comes Karen. And done. I mean, seriously. And that honestly, Karen, that also helped me. You worked with me with the law of attraction thing, because not only did I actually just ended up getting over that hurdle freaking 4 years later, but getting a job that I didn't even dream of, not even in my wildest dream, that is better off than from where I left, is just, oh my God. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you do this.
Well, what's really nice about that is I have another guy who has panic attacks, and and he doesn't have any more panic attacks after we've worked together. And but he says, like, but I don't want to like conquer the world. And I was like, let me tell you something. We're always going to have issues. We're human. So
Yeah.
when you get rid of one thing, it's like a friend of mine, Lindsay Kenny, she's an EFT master. She says, if you have a broken arm,
Yeah.
right? It's like, and you scrape your leg and there's blood going down your leg because you're in an accident. What are you going to worry about? You're going to worry about the broken arm, right? And then when that's set and everything, you look down at your leg and you go, because your
Blood.
blood is going down, and it's because this one hurts.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when this one stops hurting, you look
Yeah.
down and you say, I think I cut myself, and what am I going to do about that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know what you
so
mean.
now
Like,
you've got all the resumes, but now you have to go to the interview, and now you have to believe in yourself to go to the interview.
yes. And then the other problems did rise. Yeah, true. And I was like, wait, well, I do feel invincible, but I'm a little bit insecure. Like, what if it's really not true? And then of course, my beautiful mind was like, no, 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 this is. And then I thought, maybe this is too good for me. Maybe this is too good to be true, and so on and so forth. So, oh my God, you're absolutely right. I fixed a broken arm, and now I'm looking out. All right, where have I been bleeding? How is my clothes? Where did I cut myself? And it's I don't know. It opened another Pandora box for me.
Well, that's
But
what I want people to think is, that there's not like this one thing that's going to fix everything. It's going to, and that's what I see with people is, the ability to, like, if you help this one thing, you're going to feel so much better, but it's not like people, we're so in a society that wants to take a magic pill
yeah,
and have the result, and then I don't feel it anymore. But that's a symptom. Why fix the symptom? Why not fix the problem? And, it's why take an aspirin for the headache? Why don't you find out what the headache's about? Sure, taking an aspirin for a headache is fine, but it's temporary. Let's find out why you get headaches. And that's where I come from things, which is why I came to something, I worked on that you've tried a lot of my stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I come up with so much stuff because the methods are, I'm all about fast, efficient, and safe, right? And so, if something's taking too long, I'm like, nope, not doing it. And so I want to find something easier on people that they don't have to like relive trauma. And
Yeah.
God bless all the things that have happened and that have worked, like EMDR and tapping. I love tapping. And guided self-healing and matrix re-imprinting and medicine, and all these things are really beautiful, wonderful techniques, and they all are great, and I'm just never satisfied, I guess. And so I
Mean.
find I just make things up, and I get messages or instructions or whatever you call it. And so you love being the guinea pig, and I appreciate it.
I do. Holy crap. If I can try any of your magic tricks, sign me up. I
I'm
really
like,
do.
Jamie, I'm trying something. You want to try it? And you're like, yeah. And so, you've done your soul train, you've done release and replace, which walls into doorways. You've done, soul space. You've done, divine light healing. You've done divine
Oh,
access. It's like, and the reason to go back to your question, how do I do it? It depends on what you give me. It depends on what happens. And the two people that I've interviewed before this, they were talking about find your method of choice, find what fits with you and what works with you. And I'm right on that. And so that's why people come to me and they go like, because I wrote the course books on tapping, that with, and I was, and because I did that, they're like, I want to tap with you. And I'm like, cool. What if I want to use matrix re-imprinting? What if I want to use your soul train? What if I want to use divine light healing? What if I want to use, dimensional healing? What if I want to go into, what's blocking you from generational work? And I'm going to use, is that okay? And what if I want to use body code? Or what if I want to use, and so it's not what I want to use, is what fits to this. And I think that's really important, because if we didn't have something like EFT tapping, can that solve everything? Sure. It's a method. Methods can solve things, but sometimes you just need a drill that's got a pointier tip, or a hammer that's a little bit heavier, or, a solvent, or like a natural kind of thing. I mean, you never know. And sometimes people just need to eat better. How about that? And so it really depends on each person and their particular situation, because I have twins. I work with twins a lot, and one of my first set of twins, that sounds funny, I did prenatal remodeling with them, and the cool thing was they were together in the session, and the way they perceived as like in the womb were how they felt about what was happening outside the womb, and happening to their parents, and what they were feeling were completely different. Now they're in the same
Oh
and
my
they're like talking like they're perceiving it totally different. And it was just so exciting because they were right there next to each other talking to me. It was a session, and of course I record everything, so I have it recorded. And so that they're there, and it's just was so amazing, because you would think that, and then because they live in Brazil, that's where they were raised. They're American and Brazilian, but they were raised in Brazil. That up until the age of 12, where they had the same school teachers, the same, the same person who took care of them, the same, I mean, they lived in the same room. They had no different anything until the age of 12. They ate the same foods, yet they are completely different. You can't look at it you can't know by seeing them, because they can replace each other, which they do sometimes because they're translators. And so like I'll just show up for you since you're sick, and nobody knows. And it's just because they're identical. And but they're so different people.
That's
And
incredible.
and
Wouldn't
so
have,
you got to come at it as a practitioner and as yourself. You got to know that, you know, I have, how many self-help books do you have on the wall, right?
yeah.
Like a gazillion. And, you know, one size does not fit all. You
Oh,
really, you have to understand that what's, you know, everybody's looking for instructions.
yeah.
And I, God bless you. I wish we all had instructions, but you know, we were not, you know, out comes Shamey and out comes the instruction book for Shamey. That didn't happen. So your mom and dad could just read it and go, here's how to raise Shamey, right? And then you get it later, goes like, here, I'll fix Shamey. And so wouldn't that be nice?
Not a troubleshoot shaming.
Yes, how to troubleshoot shame. No, that's my job. And so it's like, right. And so you do need help because there aren't the same answers. And like the guy I was talking about before who had panic attacks and you know, he's like, doesn't have them anymore. He's like, but I'm not fixed. I'm not done. And I'm like, and I keep reading these books and you know, and I'm like, and they all say the same thing, don't they? And they're, yes, but they're different ways. And I'll just find the answer if I can just read them. And he lets me say his name. It's Cliff. And so, you know, Cliff is like, but I want to, you know, I want to know the answer. I'm like, but there's only one answer for you, Cliff. There's the Cliff answer. And the Cliff answer is not the same thing as the Karin answer or the Shamey answer or the George answer. And, you know, it's what sits with you. And that's the hard part, is to find out what works
Very
for
hard.
you.
Yes.
And so that's what I've sort of ended up doing, following, because I want the magic wand. I want to just wave my magic wand over you.
Well, you
And
see, you're at fault. I blame you, dear Karin, for making me think. Like, honest to God, I mean, here I am going with a lot of healers, right? And I've tried a whole bunch of things, right? And honestly, I was like, yeah, of course, because I'm stubborn. I was like, yeah, nobody's gonna have magic to freaking fix me, but I'll keep trying no matter how long it takes. I crave the hard work because in my head, when I work hard or try hard, then I'll get the results, right? And then it's gonna be worth it. Or this is the way to get the result. Work hard at it, right? And then I meet you, and it's like it's all done. I'm like, what the hell? So you honestly are one of the people that made me switch my belief that holy crap, maybe there is a magic pill out there. Maybe she does use a magic wand under her screen. Like,
well,
I
that's
mean,
okay. Well, thank you. But you know, the thing is that it's only because I don't look at everybody the same. You know,
honestly,
that's why.
how do you really like? What do you really see? Honestly, like, how do you do this? Kind of like, I know I'm asking the same question, but how do you really know how to like move everything? I was like, got it. Now
All right.
we,
So, you know, I don't want to make this about me, but I understand that people want to know how I do it.
yeah,
So, I have to be honest. It's like, it's, it's a lot of experience. I've read a bazillion books. I've studied under a bazillion people. I've tried a zillion things. I didn't stick to one thing. I got certified in this and I got certified in that. And then I just sometimes didn't even get certified. I just read the book and I just sketched it all together and looked at the person in front of me. So the best way I can describe it is by, and it's the hardest thing because I mentor people. The hardest thing is to be unconditional love and non-judgmental. So what has to happen is you can't make a decision about the person because of their what they present.
yeah.
You know, because they have all kinds of reasons. This happened to my father and my mother did this and that happened with that and I didn't have this, and it's not about that. It's like, all right, so your father left you when you're 5. Okay. And how do you feel? You know, how did that result? What was your perception?
Yeah.
What did you decide about yourself? You know, and how long has that been happening? And then, okay, so, oh, that I hate my husband because he's a jerk. He doesn't do anything. Okay. And what does he, what does he actually have to do? You know, why did you fall in love with him in the first place?
Mm.
You know, or, you know, this person made me feel terrible. Okay. Well, people don't make you anything. I don't say that, but you know, so why were you hurt by that? One of the funniest things that happened to me as I was teaching in Toronto, and I was teaching matrix reimprinting, and the person that's running it. It runs one of the best EFT schools in in Toronto. And I can't believe her name escapes me right now. She's going to kill me. But I can't
She's not
remember her
here.
name. Anyway, so it's all her students. So they're all extremely good EFT people. And I'm teaching them matrix tapping, and I'm teaching them matrix printing. And in between, they're all coming up to me going, oh, you're triggering me all over the place. I'm like, I'm sorry. Nancy, that's her name. Thank you. And I'm like, trigger you? Okay. And like lines of people. There's like 25 people in the class, and they're like lining up. Thank you. You're triggering me. You're really messing me up here. And they would leave. And the next one come up, and I was like, you're really messing me up. I'm triggered all over the place. And they're like happy and smiling. And I'm like, you know, I'm on break, and I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom and tap because I don't know how my trigger. I don't want to trigger people. Wait a second. And see, that was the key. I went like, wait a minute. I was reacting because I thought I was doing something wrong, like everybody does. They think they're doing something wrong to trigger people, right? I'm like, hold on. I'm not doing anything wrong. What's going on? And then it hit me. And I walked up to Nancy and I said, do you teach your students that triggering them is good? She said, well, yeah. How are you going to find out what's wrong with yourself? And I was like, well, it'd be nice to know that before I started training your class. All your students are like happy.
Like, wait, are they upset or are they happy?
Right? Thank you for making me feel awful. And I'm like,
making me cry and uncomfortable. And
so I was like, and I really seriously rethought my training class after that. But it was the only one that walked up to me and said, are you triggering me? It's because I ask questions. I'm like, how would you feel if this, or what do you think? And people ask me a question, I spin it around and do things with it. And so I make people think, which apparently triggers them. So, you know, when I ask you a question, I want to know the answer, babe. Because how if you don't tell me the truth, by the way, I'm going to know you're lying to me anyway. But
I know you told me that at the beginning.
Go ahead, lie to me.
I lied to her. Like, I'm scared to even lie to her. Yeah.
Like, you want to say that in a different way?
Well, no, it's just like, honestly, a really, really special thing about you, truthfully, is like, no matter how shameful, humiliating, so embarrassing, whatever, I'm coming to you for to help. Like, sometimes I really do want to spit it all out. And then at the beginning, I was like, I mean, she's just going to not even want to help me because I'm such a mess, right? But I mean, honestly, the way that you just made me feel so safe, so unjudged, so accepted, so you made it effortless for me, honestly. Like, I literally never even, you know, I never even thought to lie. I was like, nope, I really need to let it all go out. I need help. I will do this. And you really managed to get a lot of thing out of me. Like, sometimes when I speak, I'm like, did I really just say that? Well, I love you, Karin. I hated you for that, but I loved you so much more after. So it was awesome.
Like, afterwards, you're like, I'm sorry I told you that. And here's the thing, is that is a lesson for every practitioner in the world, you know, right there. Is that's our whole goals. You know, that's what should be our goal, is to accept people the way they are. And is Karin like that in real life? Well, she can get upset at people when, you know, they don't clean up after themselves and they have a husband or something, or they, you know, or somebody's mean to somebody out there, or there's like riots in the world. Yeah, Karin has an opinion, you know, and wish that didn't happen, and hates, you know, people who are judgmental, and that's Karin, right? But when I'm in a session, just like every other practitioner in the world, there is no judgment.
Yeah.
There can't be, because you can't help somebody if you judge them. And that's not an easy thing to do. We all have our filters.
I seriously was wondering, how do you even do that? How did you, honest to God, manage not to have your filter on? How could you help yourself? Really?
Well, that's a whole freaking lesson in itself. Why not? We have a little bit of time. So, you know, and then if you want, I'll do some magic on you. You like that? All right. So here's how I say it. It depends on if you're religious or not. But just for the metaphorical reason, let's just call somebody who's non-judgmental, whether it's Mother Teresa or Gandhi or Buddha or whatever. I'm going to use Jesus. And so you have this thing where you care about somebody and you're empathetic and you're sympathetic and you feel so bad for them and
Yeah.
you feel so terrible because you're very empathetic and
Yeah.
sympathetic. Well, you
Yeah.
don't know that, but you're actually filtering them because you're judging how much they hurt. You're not just feeling you are empathetic and feeling their hurt, but you have an opinion that this is bad,
Yeah.
right? So what you do is you like this is the way I did it. You asked me how I did it. This is I did it. So I stopped loving,
You stopped
and
loving?
I stopped loving them. And
Okay.
by stop loving them, I didn't have any judgment whatsoever, because that means I could love somebody who shot somebody else. So that means I could go to a prison and volunteer, because there's got to be a reason that it was okay for that person to shoot another person in that moment. So how
Yeah.
can I help them out of their hole if I can't go into the hole with them?
Yeah. Wow.
So if I let go of my concern and my care, my love, then they're just people having a hard time. And
Wow.
and so then you go, that what that does is put you up another level, which is the Jesus love or the Buddha love, which is you just love people
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter who they are or what they have, because you know that they've gone through stuff that makes them like that. And
Yeah.
not to mention, if you want to get really woo woo on us, we all chose this life. So there's a reason why they said okay to somebody, that I will be. Somebody says, you're like, oh, I need to be abused because I need to learn something or other. I need somebody to abuse me. Who wants to be my daddy? And a soul says, I need to learn that and I should go through that and you deserve that. So I'm going to go through that hell for you. And so that means that now you have an agreement to come to this earth. And,
Yeah.
so who am I to override your judgment of what you wanted to go through in this
Wow, the
life?
way you put it. Yeah. Wow.
So I'm not going to override your judgment of what you're supposed to learn. My job is to find out what you're supposed to learn and help you. And so you put yourself into this situation, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I don't
Mhm.
love you. I Jesus love you. And so I have no judgment. Plus, who am I to override what you wanted to learn here? How can I help you? I can help you by loving you unconditionally, not judging you, and by finding out what you're supposed to learn, that you want to learn in this life, and then tell you without hurting your feelings too badly.
Oh, I know. You're so good at that too.
Trying not to, do you really, I always say, do you really want to know? And I make all kinds of faces. I'm like, do you really want to
No, when
know?
you gave me that face, like, Karen, just tell me, give it to me. And then I was
No,
like,
you don't want to know. So I learned filtering. I mean, I learned the filtering of, okay, because I just get told it's blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, not telling him that. It's like, I
oh,
can
what?
tell him in a
Give me
different way and maybe a little less in phase. But you're different. You're like, just tell me because I just want to hear it.
tell me now, Karen. Well, what are they telling you? I want to hear it. Like, seriously. It's
So
not,
go ahead.
I don't like, I mean, I've always been pissed off. I was like, if Karen's guides are talking to my guides and they're telling her what's wrong with me, why the hell can't they talk to me? Like, why do I not, like, how do I, why not?
That's actually a good question. And there's another long freaking answer.
You know me.
Exactly. Because you don't know how to listen. That's
What?
what's really hard, because people think listening is meditation and quietness, and it's not. It's more like, what does cold feel like? What does happiness feel like?
I mean, but I've been in desperate stages, like, please tell me something, please, something, show me the way.
You're looking for an answer, and they're sending you feelings. Here's what I get when I get, there are, clairaudient, clairsentient, all the clairs, and one you can see, one you can hear, one you can feel. I get a picture, but downloaded with it in the picture comes
Yeah.
like the whole situation, and I'll tell you what that means. So if I said to you, if I said to somebody who doesn't know you, and I said, do you know Shamey? And they would say no. Well, now I'm going to have to go on this whole thing about living in Saudi Arabia, going to school in America, and this and doing this and having this and this kind of job, engineering and oil and all this stuff and whatever Shamey is. And by the way, she's hysterical, and don't let her start talking because she'll never stop, which is a good thing for Shamey. And so, and it talked about being excited, over top excited about everything. Don't try to keep anything from her because she will not let you. Yeah, maybe. And so now, now they know Shamey. Now, if they already knew you, I'd say, Shamey, they'd go, bang, yes. So what I get this image with all that knowledge with it. So it's a whole concept. And when I was teaching matrix reimprinting, and it's a long story, but to shorten it, is I created something called an information bubble. And what you do is you put all the information and hand it to the person. And because we're in Never Never Land and invisible world,
Neverland.
Right? So you just here's the information. So they have all the knowledge that they want in the information bubble. And I got that because that's what happens. So when I get the wording right and I see a picture, I also get all the information I need about it. And so when you're having trouble figuring something out, you're looking for instructions when the instructions are not necessarily what you're looking for. A lot of times you're looking forward and the answer is behind you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Or you're reading and reading and reading, but you're not reading the right book.
Yeah.
And so when the angels and masters and teachers and all those things that people up there are trying to help you, including your higher self, they have to figure out a way to get at you. They have to find a way because you're so busy with your little mind. And I say little mind, it's not like you, it's all of us. We're like, what, 6 feet of aura and energy and whatever. Our minds are like smaller than a fist. And that's all you're doing is you're thinking with this mind because it's got to find the answer somewhere. Right. And what about all the other stuff around you? I can't look something up in one of my mentees is like, I can't find this book because it's a really good book, by the way. It's called The Key to Self-Liberation. And I turn around because it's right here on my shelf. And he's like, this is the best book ever. I want it. And it's $600 because it's out of print. And I said, Justin, did you look at it with the intention of finding it? He says, well, what do you mean? He says, I'm looking on the internet. I'm like, well, you got to ask. You got to open up and say, I'm going to find this book. I want to find this. And he's like,
that's what you taught me.
I'm like, Jesus, give me a minute. All right. I found it for $99. He's like,
yeah.
What? I'm like, you didn't ask. You just gotta go I want to find this book. Now you look on the internet. I can find things on the internet in an instant if I don't try. As soon as I start trying.
Yes.
Right. And so, I know that I'm too complex. It's the same thing when you're with some people and you want to have it's the same thing as non-judgment, because by judging, you're filtering it down and you're looking for the reasons somebody is like this, or you're trying to use your training to know what to do with this person. And you're finding out what your experience says about this. And, all that stuff is good. But if you just be there with the person, they'll tell you, and it might not be in words. And that's the key, that all practitioners of anything, that all therapists, that any counselors, anybody trying to help, parents trying to help their children, anybody trying to help somebody understand. Can you beat understanding into somebody? No. We've learned that by the riots and stuff and things going on in the world today. You can't beat something into somebody. You can't beat them to change their mind. You have to find out why they feel like this, because it usually has nothing to do with why they're upset.
Yeah.
There's something underneath that's making them upset. And it's in that kind of disconnect, higher love is a way, and non-judgmental, and without just an unconditional love. And that you can't have unconditional love until you drop love, because love is conditional. I'll love you if,
know, like if it's not through, I mean, yeah, Karen, but the thing is, like, honestly, even now listening to you, right? I was like, all right, I want to know more about this. Like, and I don't want to bother you. And I can't, like, if that's me, you know, I would move in and live with you. But it's just like, all right, I need to give Karen some time. I need to learn this on my own. She guided me through something. Even now, if I want to go find something to help me connect to my higher self or learn how to
So
be
you're
good.
looking for instructions again. Okay, that's fine. The first thing that you need to know is a little more information,
All
and I
right.
can suggest some books. You know that you
But
can
we can read some books to get there, right? Kind
well
of.
to expand your view of the world.
Yeah.
You know, things like, you know, conversations with God, you know,
Mm,
or you know, like the and then the books like Your Soul's Plan and Many Lives, Many Masters. You want to start earlier, Your Journey of Souls, and you know, all these books that open your mind to, you know, what's really possible. Because I'm a science person. You might not know that. I was pre-med in college. And the thing is we learn, but we don't conceptualize that, you know, we're all molecules, and you can pretty much stick your finger through a book, right? You can stick your finger through anything because they're just vibrating molecules.
yeah.
And even Einstein was like, you can just by looking at something change the outlook of the program. So like you have an experiment, just by paying attention to it, you can change what's going on, because
Yeah.
your energy changes things. So
Yeah.
your lack of energy, so your ability to hold back,
Mm.
you know, and let that person be, allows you to be able to see what other people can't see, because as soon as you act upon it, you are influencing it,
Yeah. Oh,
which is
okay.
also something else I do. People can't normally come to my office and work with me anymore because they'll forget what their problem is.
What do you mean?
I'm like, I'm like, you got to
All
write
their
it down.
problems are solved when they step and foot into your office. I mean, I swear to God, I believe it.
You're going to fly here. I'm pick you up at Philadelphia airport, right? What happens? I'm like, write it down before you get here. And like, why? It's been bothering me for 4 years. I'm like, I'm telling you, write it down. And they walk in my office, they sit down, I'm like, okay, where we're starting.
Wow.
And I get like, my problem, and what's the problem? I I know I feel really bad about this. I'm like,
That is incredible.
and it's just because the way I am
Yeah.
is there's a book called Power versus Force, for instance, and
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
and so if you just like be at a certain higher level, you can influence 200 people around you to just raise their vibration just by
Yeah.
not saying a word, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
just be there. And even if you're like not really high, but you're higher than the person that next to you, just like they come into you and they suddenly feel better. Like you, Shamey, people can walk in the room with you and they're suddenly like happy for no reason. And
Yeah, but then they all blame me. What kind of drugs am I on? I'm like, I'm just high on life.
they're like, but how? And they get all mad. How come she's high on life and I can't be like that? Except I really like when I'm around her, you know, because that's
Oh,
what you do. And just
oh,
by being that person, you can help so many people. And just so if everybody could just be more loving without loving, unconditional loving, and
yeah.
understand that people are rioting because they have some kind of weird reason they learned as some kind of bad thing and they're triggered in some kind of weird way, that there's a reason the way they're like they are. It doesn't make it right. It just is, because everything just is. And that's kind of cool. And you know, once you get there, you can progress and help and love and be happy and help others love and be happy, just by knowing that everybody has a reason for things because of what they went through.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's really 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 hard when somebody's hurting you so deeply. And you know, I get that, and it tears me apart. And but I have to go, there's a reason. So if I don't have the person in my office that did it, and I have the person that it's being done to, I can help them perceive things differently. And I worked with abused women a lot. I haven't done it much recently. It's, you know, the universe sends me
Oh,
various
wow.
kinds of people. And every single one, their husband stops hitting them. And it's not because they were doing anything wrong. It's because they shifted their perception of their own life. And so they didn't trigger the other guy. They didn't trigger the guy. And so and then they could decide whether they want to leave him or not, you
Oh God.
know, because now the hitting is out of the way.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, that's not possible. What do you have 100% success rate? I'm like, I have 100% love of the person going through this and helping them be different inside. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I can attest to that. I can attest to that. You're getting nightmares and dreams about me. I'm like, oh, Karen really cares. But Karen has
yes.
been just incredible. I can never get enough of you as usual. Please let me move in.
Luckily, you're in Saudi Arabia. I'd have to make room for you.
I swear to God, you lucked out. But anyways, thank you so much, Karen, for this time. I love you so much. And you know what? I wish the world everybody can have a piece of Karen because it's delicious. And then thank you so much for this
So I
time.
want to say, if you want to find me, it's not, the big is Karin. So you have to spell it Karin. And right. Karin, yes, KarinDavidson.net and or howtotap.com. And
Karin Davidson at YouTube, all your videos and your channel.
All my videos, yeah. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube about Karin Davidson. Yes. Thank you, my love.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day, your life,
and my life. No, I'll take the first one.
and your life. Thank you, darling. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.